Is it on?
Yeah, that's a good question. I never intended anyone to read Akane. I wrote it just for me, and when I finished it I was like, cool, that's a nice book, and that was it. But then I needed to know what would happen next with Alex, and so I went on and wrote Raelia. And if anyone's read Raelia in the room, which probably you guys have, it ended at a point where I couldn't just stop it there, and so that was the point where I realised I needed to continue writing. But I also realised then that I wanted to try and share the stories with the world, but even then I was like, my family might read it if I'm lucky. So no, it's very surreal, and it's I got nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm here at the Graevale launch, and people are in the background saying hi. So we've just heard Lynette Noni talk, and she was just really excited about this book, and yeah, like I'm so keen to read it. I think the last one I read was Akane, so there's a lot for me to catch up, but check out the line. Like I'm pretty sure we've been waiting for about an hour, and it's pretty hectic. We'll see how the rest of this goes.
As you can see there is the Medoran map. Limited edition, you can only get it here today, right now. And one of my favourites in the series, Tahora.
I'm excited about reading this book. Now I finally have a copy of it. It's my weekend cutout.
Yes.
I'm excited about the fact that there's like an entire year left for me to obsess about this before we get the next one. I haven't read Akane yet, so Sarah's giving me a copy.
It feels, because we have finished the book, it's a roller coaster ride of emotion. You will need to be a friend, but I'm definitely not resisting the shadows.
So we've just joined the line after about 1.5 hours, and we're at the very end. Hi guys, this is Jean from Happy Indulgence, and today I'm here with Lynette Noni at the Graevale launch in Brisbane, and yeah, I'm just super excited to be here and to talk about your writing journey, and yeah, let's get started. It's been a long journey since Akane was released, and Alex has been through a lot, and I was just wondering, how do you feel about almost finishing her journey?
It's been a real roller coaster, I think, especially as the series has progressed. It's gotten darker because she's grown, and the challenges that come against her have declined exponentially. So she's each time she grows in herself, something harder comes against her, and you know, more challenges. And I think as the author, it's quite difficult because you know, I hurt when she hurts, and you know, when especially in Graevale, because there's a lot that happens to her and that she has to work through. It's darker, and it's, you know, you kind of, the whole way through I was like, come come on, let's get through this. We can get through this. And it was amazing, but it is harder to write when it's not just all fluffy happy.
I know. I've heard that people need moral support and a shoulder to cry on afterwards. So.
Yes. Sorry for this book, everyone.
And also, Alex is a really great role model. I find she really values friendship and loyalty and courage. And how do you find her? Like, what makes her a really great role model to follow?
One of the best things about Alex is she's very real. She's she in the first book she's 16, in every other book she stays 17. Not because she's immortal, just because the books don't go beyond the age of 17. And nothing comes easily to her. She has to learn it the hard way or just by trial and error. And so she has to learn as anyone would normally learn something. And I think readers especially are kind of being able to relate to her in their own lives. They might not be transported to a fantasy world, but the things that she goes through can be used as a metaphor for the things that everyone goes through. And she just has some really healthy friends in her life who keep her grounded, and she listens to their advice. She's not one of those characters who just, is like, whatever. She really relies on the people around her. I think she just keeps getting back up when she gets set down, and I think that's an important thing to encourage people to do.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things that a lot of people love about the Medoran Chronicles is that it's about friendship. Why is that? Like, why is it important to outline throughout the series?
Yeah, I think when I started writing the series, there were so many young adult books coming out that it was all about finding true love at 16 years old.
Yes.
And I was like, this is so unrealistic. Like, it might happen. Some people, do fall in love when they're young and they stay with their high school sweetheart or whatever. But I'm like, the probability of this, this is in every young adult book pretty much.
Exactly.
And I was just a bit tired of it. And I'm like, let's just have some nice friends. And it was what I personally would have wanted. I'm like, I would like these friends in my life, or I would have then. And I wanted to show that guys and girls can be good friends without it going anywhere romantically as well. So they were all important to me to bring that across.
Yeah, because I find like every single YA book features romance, but it doesn't feature like platonic friendships, which is actually a big thing, and I really like how that's covered as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all good. Okay, so I've got a bit of a controversial one. I've heard that there's some people that are shipping Team Avon.
Yes, I've heard this as well. I will say I understand, especially for those who've read Dracora. I can understand why you would ship Avon. It's like people who ship like Malfoy. There's something people love a bad boy. As the creator, it wigs me out. Especially because I finished writing the series, so I know this, that, the other, and I know whether it's going to happen or whether it's not. I love the creative ships I keep hearing for this series because I can just sort of be like, like the library has been shipped with people. And I'm like, it's a building. So I find it highly entertaining.
I heard that you're making your US debut in May for Whisper. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on Whisper is that it's described as a bit like Stranger Things meets Divergent. It's it's different, it's darker, it's told from a first-person current point of view. The main character literally doesn't talk for the first half of the book. Then you don't know what's happening, you don't know why, and it's almost like a psychological thriller while you're in her head trying to figure out what's going on and having no idea. Yeah, it's punchy, it's fast, it's hopefully you kind of get lost in it, and fantasy, dystopian, sci-fi. I honestly have no idea what we'd call it, but yeah, I'm really excited for this book to come out.
Yeah, and how did the idea come about for Whisper?
Well, I just started, Akane had just come out, so I'd written Akane, I'd written Aurelia, and I just needed a break from the Medoran Chronicles. I was touring a bit, I just started touring, and I was like, you know what, I just need to write something I need to write something new, something that's fresh for me to keep me motivated to write, but something that's so different, a different voice, a different style. And a very central theme in Whisper is, our words have power, or our thoughts give power to our words and our words give power to our actions, really is what it's about. And so I wanted to bring that across. I wanted there to be a really strong message about us as readers having the power to speak and to be allowed to speak, and that we have our own voices and we can use them and we should use them. So, well, the question is whether that comes through the book or not, but that was why I wrote it. It meant a lot to me to sort of be encouraging in a fictional sense and have people feel empowered from the book while enjoying the story.
I can't wait. It's like in my favourite genre, and
I hope
Sounds
so.
awesome. We've got Lissa at Joys of Bookworms, and she wants to know what inspired the idea for Akane, and was it always going to be a 5-book series? And how are you so amazing?
Well, I'm not going to answer the last part because that's weird and awkward, but thank you, that's really lovely. I basically just decided to write the book I wanted to read, and Akane was a result of that. I never intended anyone to read it, but it happened. So that was that. The second question was...
did you always know it was going to be 5 books?
Yes, okay, so I have a wonderfully logical answer for this. At the time, Harry Potter was 7 books. Twilight was 4 books, and they were both probably the biggest things at the time. And I think Divergent was coming out as 3 books, so I'm like, I'll just pick a happy in between number. 5's a good number. But I've since added We Three Heroes to that, so it's technically a 6-book series now. So
are we allowed to know what that one's about?
Yeah, I think so. So it comes out in September. We Three Heroes is 3 novellas that equal 1 full-size book, and it's from a perspective of DC. Has her own novella, Jordan has his own novella, and Bear has his own novella. So Alex is 3 best friends from this series, and so DC's story, we learn how she became the person that she is when we meet her in Akane, because she's not wonderfully nice, and so we learn how that happened and how she grew up to become that, and that goes across to then we sort of slide into Jordan's story, and it's sort of his post-traumatic stress as he gets through the aftermath of what happens to him in this series, and then we slide into Bear's story, and that it kind of bridges the gap between Graevale and the final book in this series. So We Three Heroes is kind of important between the 4th and the 5th book, because we learn how a lot of the stuff that happens in the background of these books that you sort of hear a hint of, it actually happens in real time in these books. Plus there's a lot more, I guess, diverse themes in this one, which I couldn't bring out in Alex's story. So there's like bullying, suicide, sexuality, and pretty much everything that you'd find in like a contemporary story is across these novellas. So yeah, they're really heavy, but really light in the Medoran sense, but they're still very, they've got really good themes in them.
Are we ever going to hear Team Avon's point of view during Dracora? That's from Rhianna Patrick.
Surprise, surprise, Rhianna. Who I'm guessing the previous Avon shipping question was from as well. I am going to not answer that question because I think I would get in a lot of trouble, but I'm going to insert a winky emoticon here and say fingers crossed. So we will see.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Lynette, and I can't wait to see, what happens as part of the launch as well, and it looks totally awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys next time.